Clean up on aisle 3. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right.
I don't care what they say about you, Mike. I believe it. Yeah, take a picture.
He's actually doing some work, huh? That's good. All right. Well, good evening. My name is Johnny. My call is W5PFR. And been a ham 30. Some of y'all were probably weren't even born yet. So I'm not going to go that far. Anyway, we're going to talk about fusion. We're going to talk about wires X. We're going to say some words that's probably going to trigger some of y'all. Because some of y'all think digital is not ham radio. So y'all have to excuse me if I trigger you. Just don't cancel me. Anyway, really not a whole lot I can tell you. We're going to start with what is a C4 FM. That's what fusion is all about, C4 FM. C4 FM is, let's look at it this way. FM, regular analog FM, is about 16 kilohertz wide. Okay. What they did with C4 FM, they brought it down to 12 and a half kilohertz. And what it does, and what they did, this is actually digital, if you think about it. So in analog, you're using, let me see, I want to do this right, so I'm going to tell you exactly what the book says, what analog signal is. It calls it some kind of an electrical signal. So, well, I just had it here a minute ago, but I lost it. Anyway, analog is more of a electrical signal that's being compressed. Digital, C4 FM is more of a digital DITS. And it'll be zeros and ones, if you can relate to that. So C4 FM is 12 and a half kilohertz wide. And what it does, it puts data with your voice in one bandwidth of 12 and a half kilohertz. Did I lose you? Did I confuse you? Just stop me and ask me a question. So what happens when you're using a C4 FM signal? Half of your 12 and a half, which is 6.25, it becomes voice. That's what it does. It cleans it up. It gets all those zeros and ones. It cleans it up. The other 6.25 kilohertz becomes data. So every time you transmit one of your C4 FM radios, it transmits. It depends which mode you have it on again. I'm going to go over that also. So it depends what mode you have your radio set. It will transmit data and your voice at the same time. So what that means, most all of these, if you have a Yaesu radio, like a FT1, FT2, FT3, FT5, that's the little handhelds. These things, they all have GPS installed in them. And if you have your GPS on, every time you key up this radio, it actually sends your coordinates, 32.15, whatever your coordinates are. It sends that out as you're speaking. So that's the neat thing about C4 FM digital is. And of course, the other side, whoever's listening, it can actually see who it is that you're talking to. So your call sign is being displayed every time you key up. So there's no glitching. You can't go around glitch repeaters. If you start glitching it, I can see here, oh, that was KG5SQZ just glitched this repeater, for example. I'm not saying he does, but I'm just saying. So that's one of the deals with C4 FM. So we got the analog, we got the voice and the data thing all in one key up. Does that kind of make sense? I'm sorry? You can send pictures. I'm going to get to that. Besides the data, of course, it's got your call sign. It's got all of that. You can actually, like Mike said, you can actually send pictures. There is a microphone that you can have, and you connect it to your radio, and you can actually snap a picture, and you can actually send that through the airwaves, and it's pretty neat. So what is a C4 FM stands for? We're going to get technical now a little bit. C4 FM is, according to Yaesu, is continuous envelope 4-level frequency modulation. C4 FM, continuous level 4 frequency modulation. So it's really a fancy thing for just regular old FM. And what they did, they just kind of compressed the analog signal that we send on FM radio on any 2-meter FMs. And what they did, instead of it being analog, they made it a digital, which it's got like a BER. You know what a BER is? Bit error correction. So what it does, those zeros and ones, with the software and everything they've got, there's a special chip in there that what it does, it kind of gets that and it cleans it up and it sends it out. So you're not going to hear all that static. There's no more, all that stuff. You know how it goes when you get out of range of a repeater. You get all the scratchy and noisy. There's none of that on C4 FM. Yes, sir.
Johnny, I got the FC100 in my truck, and I go along with the guys. I can talk to him down around all the main street. I think he's an SK now.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, it's a good mode. Again, it's working principle of a C4 FM, which is continuous envelope 4-level frequency modulation. It says here that RF signal is being amplified and transmitted to space through the antenna. The signal received by the receiver and passes through a frequency modulation demodulator, which is often referred to as a frequency discriminator circuit in analog mode. And the demodulator circuit is a C4 FM baseband signal whose amplitude varies between 4. There's a lot of technical things. We're not going to really get into it. So we're just going to go and continue with what everything else is. So what is fusion? This is a term used for Yaesu radios or repeater that can be compatible with both FM and C4 FM digital mode. An example of a fusion is a Yaesu radio repeater that the TX will follow the mode of the RX input, which is called fusion. So that's all that is. It's really nothing scary about it. It's just another mode. Like when you get on your HF radio, you got AM, you got lower sideband, you got upper sideband. C4 FM is just another mode. That's all it is. AM, FM, some of your radios do that. Let me just say that fusion does not mean it's wires X. That's a lot of things that a lot of people get confused with. What is a wires X? Oh, I don't know how to do all this. No. Fusion, again, is just a mode. Wires X, we're going to get into that in just a few minutes. That's a whole different, complete ball game. The look at the bandwidth used by different analog and digital modes. It's called FDMA. So I've got an example here. This is actually tell you what, that'd be easier if I just walk over here. This is actually a repeater. This is a DR2X. This is made by Yaesu. This is actually what we use, the 380, 147, 380 is this, 444, 000 is one of these, 444, 600, which we're going to use here in just a minute. It's one of the, it's older model, but it's just like this one. What Yaesu did is they went ahead and they implemented the FM and the C4 FM in one repeater. And what it does, it automatically switches, like we just mentioned. It listens to what's coming in, and it puts it out the way it came in. If I key up on fusion, for example, this repeater is going to hear that digital signal, and it's going to put it out in digital signal. If I go FM, this repeater will go, it would hear my FM signal, and it will go out FM. Now, there's other modes that this thing will do, which your radio doesn't have to do anything, to be honest with you. If you have one of these, Yaesu handhelds or mobile units. If you have it on an automatic mode, select, whoever talks on anything, if you talk on FM or C4 FM, your radio automatically switches for you. That's one of the good things about C4 FM and Yaesu radios that they have made. So that's the meltdown on this repeater. It does have what they call an auto mode. Auto means that the both TX and RX is, like I just mentioned, it automatically switches for you. There's nothing you need to do specifically. Now, there's another thing that this thing can do, which is pretty neat. For example, I'm talking to somebody on digital. What I can do, I can actually set this repeater to put whatever signal it receives, FM or digital. I can set the receive side of it to be on auto, and I can set the transmit side of it to be only FM. That way, anybody that has an analog radio will be able to hear you. And it's pretty neat because if somebody comes in on digital, for example, talking to somebody else on digital, and you having just a regular analog radio, you are able to copy these people. And the audio is going to be so superb. You're not going to hear any scratchy, nothing, even if they're out of range. If they're almost at the edge of the repeater, you're not going to hear no scratching. And then the guy that's on the FM, if you want to, for example, if a guy wants to talk to us that are on digital, if I have my little radio set up on auto mode, what is going to happen is the analog guy is going to come in. This repeater is going to hear it. He's going to say, "Oh, that's FM." He's going to receive that FM signal, and he's going to put it out as FM. And my radio would automatically switch it. So I'm able to talk. So, the thing is that a lot of people were scared for a long time is, well, you got a digital repeater, and I cannot talk to FM people, and I don't want to do this anymore. What Yaesu has done, they went ahead and put this in there. That way, the FM analog people are not being left alone. They're not being kicked out. That's one of the neatest thing they've done with this. So I can set the TX on this repeater to be on FM only. That way, the FM people will have no problem copying us. So that's one of the neat things about this. Of course, you can do much more, but that was one of the neatest things that I've noticed with these repeaters that you can do. You can also do TX just digital. There's a lot of some people like that. They just want to have it on completely digital. Some people want it to be just FM, which is fine. So there's so much you can do with these things. They put that in there. Another thing it's got is called a VD, which is voice digital or voice data mode. There's a lot I can say about that, but that's just a lot of junk. I'm going to say that it's just going to be a waste of time. So we're not going to really get into that. It's more of a voice and a data. But anyway, there's another mode. It's called a voice wide. What it does, remember that 12.5 kc I told you guys about? FM is what, 16 kilohertz? They brought it down to 12.5, 6.25 for data, 6.25 for voice. When you put your radio, this thing is automatic, so it's gonna hear whatever you put into it. If I decide to key up my radio on VW, which is voice wide, what happens is it occupies the whole 12.5 kc of nothing but voice. There won't be no data being sent out. So your voice would be more crispier, kind of, sort of. Again, it depends how you want to talk. There's so much you can do with this thing. It's just not even funny. I can sit here and talk about all kind of stuff. So another neat thing that Yaesu has put in these radios is called a GM function. This GM function, it takes the place of calling CQ. You know how you can get on 5.2 simplex and you're traveling, you just call CQ. With GM mode, you can activate that on your radio. It literally says GM on it. If you guys have your radios, you can look at it. What that does, it takes place of calling CQ. This feature allows you to see who's on frequency. Once you activate this thing, what it does, it beacons out every so often. And guess what? What is it going to beacon out? It's going to beacon out your call sign. And it's going to beacon out if you have a GPS running on your radio, it's going to put out the GPS signal. So, for example, I'm driving down the road on simplex frequency. Oh, by the way, the national frequency, let me just give you this. If you have a pencil, I would write this down. They have come up with a simplex frequency for fusion only. And the frequency is 145.5625. 145.5625. What they did, they decided to go ahead and put that aside for fusion only. It's kind of like a 146.52 for FM. 145.5625, they decided to put that out for digital only. So what happens is if you're traveling and you just want to see who's around, you activate your GM function and you just drive down the road. And if somebody else hears that, they can actually pick up their mic and talk to you. So you don't have to go down the road, say, hello, CQ, this is W5PFR, calling CQ on 5.2 simplex. You don't have to do any of that. The radio does it for you. So that's one of the things that it does. Yes. Well, actually, there's no sound. When this thing beacons, there's no sound. You can just look on your screen. For example, I can look at my screen and say, oh, there's somebody else on here. And I can just see his call sign. I can go back to him. That's how it works. So it's literally just looking at your radio. You can see who's on. Yes. No, 5625, yes. You're going to have to set your, on your steps. When you program the radio, go to your steps and go to 6.25 kilohertz. That way it'll give you that 0.5. Yes. You just pick up your microphone and say hello. Yes. Yes. Oh yeah. It's just like FM, just like you're sitting on 5.2, same thing. That's simplex. That's simplex. Now I have seen it done through the repeater, which is kind of a weird, but people do it sometimes. The repeater's you're not gonna hear it. You won't get disturbed. All you have to do is look at your screen and say, oh, okay, so like KE5 KTU, for example, was beaconing. Actually, that's what he does. There's a fellow here that he likes doing that, which is fine. There's no big deal. Actually, it's like I've noticed what he does sometimes. He would call CQ, nobody comes back to him. Then he pushes his GM button, which is fine, and then somebody will come back. So that's the way the thing works. So that's what the GM function is all about. Now we're going to get into that bad wires X thing that everybody's so scared of. Tell you what I want to do. I'm going to go ahead and have a demonstration here about what is a wires X. So wires X is a protocol used by Yaesu to transport voice and data. That's all it is. How many here play with Echolink? Everybody, I bet. It's the same thing, guys. It's just a protocol that Yaesu put out. It's called wires X. It's the same thing. It's data and voice over the internet. This technology, of course, is proprietary. It is something that belongs to Yaesu, and Yaesu doesn't want people to mess with it, so they have it shut down pretty close, and they monitor it all the time. Wires X, again, is kind of like an Echolink, RLP, All-Star, and many other voice over IP. Wires X also gives you a real-time index of active nodes, rooms to select from. I'm going to pass out this little thing I got here. What this is, I'm not much into projectors and all, but y'all can pass this around. I'm going to show you all this. This is what the Wires X software looks like. You want to pass that out. There you go. So this is what the software actually looks like. So when you have a system running a Wires X, I got a couple of those. That's what actually the software looks like when you pull it up on your computer. What that does, it shows you a real time. Again, that's just a little snapshot. It shows you a real time of what kind of nodes, what kind of rooms, whoever is on the internet. Again, this is a internet thing, so there's a lot of folks say that the internet and ham radio doesn't match, but 6 to half a dozen, I guess. You can go whichever way you want to. Back in the 90s when we played ham radio, of course there was no internet. We did a lot of packet radio. I don't know if anybody's familiar with packet radio. But anyway, technology comes, internet shows up, and ham radio wants to get involved with it, and that's what happened. So they decided to join the crowd, I guess. Connect internet to ham radio. So that's really what a Wires X is. I'm going to continue a few more things here to tell you guys about, and then we're going to actually have a little demo on how to use Wires X. So what is a node? Again, this is another term that is being used. Sorry. Okay. What is a node? A node is made up of a hardware, firmware, and a software. It is an interface between the internet and your radio and repeater. I have an example here. This is an old, actually this stuff is being used. This is called a HRI 200. You can think of it as let's just say a sound card. When you want to do digital on HF, well, most modern HF radios have a built-in sound card. That's how you communicate between it and your computer. What happens here with this node is really just a hardware that connects between your radio and your computer. That's all a node is. Nodes can call and talk to nodes. Nodes can call and talk to rooms. And rooms cannot call anything. So what does that mean? So we talked about Wires X, and this is what Wires X is, and what I just talked about, a node. This little piece of equipment is called a HRI 200. With this little item, you can have a room. So what is a room? A room is like a hub. You can think of it. It's a place where everybody meet. For example, we're in a room right here. You can think of yourself, all of these people, as a node. Now, if one of us leave this room, we're not going to be able to listen or talk to the people here, correct? You have to be in here to be able to communicate, so everybody can hear each other. That's the simplest way I can put it. So that's what a room is. So all these repeaters, all these nodes, personal nodes, they can connect to this room. As I speak, everybody hears. As Rick speaks, everybody would hear. So that's what basically a room is. So when you connect your room or your repeater or your node into a room, everybody will be able to communicate. Yes, sir.
Where I'm totally confused is how do you control what road it goes to? But in Kansas City, that road, but it's just an alert and I hear.
Okay, so you can remember, see that thing I gave you? Okay, so if you look into that, it gives you a list in the middle called nodes. Then you got another list of thousands. It's called rooms. So, it's really depend on who you want to talk to or, where you want to go to. So it's really up to you. There is a number there's a 5-digit number by each one of those things. You know, what it is, you just want to go to the most popular ones that a lot of people hang out. There are, if you look at it, there's, like you mentioned, Kansas City wide, there's usually 100 plus nodes, repeaters connected in that one room. Remember room? What's the other one? America Link. There's tons of people usually connected to it. So again, it's really your preference where you want to go, or you can just connect a node to a node. Again, it's so much things you can do. Again, it's up to the user. So that's really all it is. And what I want to do here in just a minute is to show you how to try some of that, how to connect some of these rooms. Yeah. One more thing real quick. Recently, Yaesu came out with, he says, okay, well, WiresX is working fairly well. What we want to do, we want to create like a peer-to-peer, like a private network, for example. So what they did, they installed a LAN card in these repeaters. Now, the guys that are into IT, they probably can explain it a whole lot better than I can. What happens is with these LAN cards, you can have 100. 100 is a maximum. You can have 100 repeaters privately connect to each other via IP addresses. So each repeater will have a separate IP address. And all you need is a router at the internet. Just all you need is a regular internet at the repeater site, nothing else. You just plug your internet LAN into it, do some programming in this repeater, and it goes out. So this repeater becomes an IP address, basically. And there's so much you can do with that. It's amazing what all you can do. One quick example would be like, okay, the state of Mississippi has 82 counties. Let's just say we have 82 EOCs in 82 counties. If every EOC install one of these repeaters with a LAN card in it, I would say that most all EOCs have internet. All they need to do is plug in their LAN into it, and that's all there's got to do. A couple of programmings, and it's on the air. So you can drive around, for example, in Rankin County, and I want to talk to Jackson County, for example, EOC. All I need to do is to know what region they're on, and you set your radio to a DGID, what they call a DGID. Again, there's so much you can do. DGID is kind of like a tone. You know how you put a tone in your radios to activate a repeater, to get it keyed up? You put a DGID in each one of these repeaters. You got 82 of them. You can put, this one would be 00, somebody else would be 01, 02, 03. You go all the way to 99. And you can set regions. So to say I want to talk to everybody in south of Hattiesburg, for example. You already have that set up. That would be DGID 55, for example. Turn your radio on. Go to the Rankin County, because that's your local repeater. Set your DGID to 55. As soon as you key up, all the repeaters in South Mississippi will get keyed up. Simple as that. So there's so much you can do with this IMRS. So again, DGID stands for Digital Group Identification. Again, like I said, the range is from 0 to 99, and these codes can be programmed into the repeater to do many things. Again, DGID codes do not pass through WiresX. Again, WiresX is completely different than what I just said with the IMRS. So what's a PDN? There's another term we're going to talk about. PDN. PDN stands for Portable Digital Node. Remember, we just talked about node. Everybody can be a node. So with a special set of cables, you can actually turn your radio, each one of these radios. Again, when you buy a Yaesu radio, everything FT1, FT2, FT3, FT5, FTM 400, FTM 200, FTM 100, FTM 300. If you got any of those radios, you can actually use those as a PDN, as your personal digital node. What happens is you have a cable that comes with your radio. Normally when you buy these things, it comes with a programming cable. With the same programming cable, you can connect that to your laptop or PC or whatever, run that software, and you are a node now. And you can use this radio as your own personal hotspot. How many knows about hotspot? That would be your hotspot, for example. If you have two of these things, actually it'd be nice. You can set one as what they call an access mode. So you can set this in your room somewhere, connect it to your laptop, to the internet, and you can have another one. You can walk around and talk. It goes through the network. You'd be connected to a room, or you can, if you like to just talk to certain people, you just connect to their nodes. And that's what they call PDN and HRI mode. And then last thing is this little box right here, which is called HRI 200. With this thing connected to the repeater, excuse me. When you connect this thing at the repeater, you can actually, there's cables here. You can connect this straight to the repeater. If the good thing about these things is if there is internet at your repeater site, and let me just tell you that it's very hard to find a repeater site with internet. Been there, done that many a times. It's just most of the repeaters are the repeater sites are in the middle of nowhere, and all they got is electricity if they're lucky. And so anyway, there's normally no internet, but there are occasions that there are sites that they have internet. It's a good thing is you can actually connect one of these little bad boys into it and a laptop or a PC or whatever you got to the internet, and you can have your internet connected straight to the repeater. There's nothing else you need to do. The way I do it, since there's no internet at none of these sites that I have repeaters on, I use what they call a gateway, and I use it from my house. It transmits the signal. Remember the PDN thing I told you about? You can just put it on an access mode. You can think of this as the gateway. So it'd be like somebody sitting, it'd be like another user, basically. So what we're fixing to do here in a minute, these guys could be like a third user, another user, basically. Like me, Mari, and Mr. Rick are talking. We want to bring somebody else in the picture. That would be that gateway. Does that make sense, or did I lose you? I'm going to show you out here in just a few minutes. So that's basically what a gateway is. It's just another way to transmit your data into the repeater where there's no internet. That's the way it works. Yaesu has made it so simple that you can get this thing going in no time. And really, that's all I've got here. I want to do a quick demo on how to use Wires X. Yes, sir.
How does Wires X compare or differ from Echolink?
It's digital. Echolink, of course, is analog FM. The connection is really the same, I would say. The way I have mine set is I have FTM 100, and I have it set up as a node. You do the software update on it. You can make it a node with a special cable. There's really nothing special about this cable. It comes with the radio. You connect it to the back of your PC. Of course, your PC is connected to the internet. You run that software. That's it. You got to run that software. That's Yaesu's little baby, and the only way for Wires X to work is that thing right there. And it's all on Yaesu's website if you decide to do anything like that. So again, the way I've got mine set, because I don't have any internet and none of these repeater sites, I'm using a gateway. So what that means is I have another radio somewhere, like at my workplace. I have a radio that's connected to the PC, running that software, connected to an antenna, and it's able to hit the repeater. That's all it does. So it just brings the internet to the repeater. Very simple.
Yaesu is the only one active this right now.
Actually, D-Star does the same thing, but D-Star is a little bit more, how do I say this to be kind? They're not as nice as Yaesu, I would say. I've had some issues with D-Star, but D-Star is a good mode, but when you try to gateway into their stuff, it just doesn't want to work right. They like for their stuff to be at the repeater side, connected straight to the repeater. I've done it both ways. The one that's connected to the repeater is actually better. Works a whole lot easier. We have the Rankin repeater 145.17 that's on D-Star. It's actually connected right to the back of the repeater. Yes, sir.
Johnny, last time I tried to get 170, it was not there.
It's D-Star. You have to have a D-Star radio. Yeah, it's there. Yes, sir.
Has Yaesu been making progress and kind of taking some of the market, like over D-Star? I know D-Star at first kind of had a foothold.
Yeah, oh yeah. If you look at it, Yaesu has outnumbered D-Star right now because of all their special prices that when they decided to go out with these. If you're a club, I can tell you this. If you're a club, like Rankin County Club is a club, you can buy one of these repeaters for $700. This is a DR2X. This is the top of the line. If you like to get that private network going with the LAN card, that's another $100. And it's already installed in here. All you have to do is find your router, plug it right back into it, do some programming, you're on there. Again, that is not Wires X. Let me just make sure y'all understand that Wires X and this LAN is a whole different ballgame. Sir? Private network, yeah. It's kind of like at your home, you got like 3 or 4 PCs connected to your hub, to your router. That's your private network. This is basically what I'm talking about with the IMRs. Yes, sir.
If I'm thinking correctly, when I'm trying to explain Wires X, you don't even have to own a Yaesu radio to be on Wires X. You actually can just go right through the computer. Like Echolink is just on
No.
Wires X, you just go through the website, sign up for it.
You still have to have their software. Now, if you want to be a hotspot, that's a different ballgame. The open spots, Open Spot 4, and all these guys. What they've done, they are bridging into Wires X. So they're not really Wires X. They bridge into it. DMR people bridge into it, for example, or even D-Star people bridge into it. To be a true Wires X, you have to be you have to run that software, and that connects to their servers. Again, like I said, this is something that is their baby. They don't let nobody mess with it. And it's a Windows-based program. It's not a Linux.
If I didn't own a Yaesu radio at all,
Uh-huh.
I could get on my Windows PC and download the Wires X program on my computer, right?
You can do that, but how are you going to connect to it?
It's got to have a Yaesu.
It's got to have a Yaesu radio connect to it. You have your handheld. You can actually connect that to your PC with this, and you become a node. In order to do that, of course, you have to register. That's another thing I was going to talk about, but we're going over time here. You just have to register that. Each radio that you buy has a unique, what they call a DPID. It's an ID in here. It's unique to this radio. My radio and Luke's radio has different numbers. So when you register your radio, Yaesu knows, okay, well, this is mine, and the number the 5-digit number that they gave me will be different than 5-digit number that he gives. So for example, if I want to talk to my repeater, 70234, I think it is, anyway, I got it written down somewhere. The number in here is different, and every one of these are different. FTM, exactly. Everybody has different numbers. So when you buy a radio, it's going to have a unique number in it. It's called a DPID. Yes, and you can have each one of those can be a node. Each one of those can be noded. But you got to remember now, if you want to run all 3 of them, you're going to have to run 3 software. You cannot put 2 radios on one. It won't work. Again, that's a Yaesu thing. It's not, nothing we can do about it. So with a HRI 200, you can have a room so everybody can connect to. If you don't want to go that route, which is fine, Yaesu came out with what they call a node. If you have just any radio that you have, like we just mentioned, all you need is connect your cable to your PC, and you are a node. There's nothing else you need. No more of this stuff. This is good for people that want to have rooms so people can connect in that one room. That's all that is. So again, any questions before I go any further? Who did I scare so far? Who did I lose so far? So again, Fusion is not Wires X. Fusion is just a mode. It's just, let's just sink that in. It's just a mode, like FM, AM, sideband, lower sideband, whatever. Yes, sir?
John, you just told me something new about the radio. I had about 3 or 4 years of phone and everything. I thought was something for 7 different parameters, right?
Yeah.
I just hadn't read through the phone.
There's so much you can do with these radios. It's not even funny. There's so much you can do with that little 100 you have. The group monitor. The group monitor is a nice little feature. You can drive down the road, put it on that frequency, push GM, and just drive down the road. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention. Every one of these radios come APRS ready. Who plays APRS? There you go. All these Yaesu radios except FT70. FT70 does not have GPS. FTM 200, 100, 300, 400, FT1, 2, 3, they all have GPS on it. They all have the APRS. So you can actually just right out the box, you can run APRS on this. If you're interested in APRS. I've never been much into APRS, but it's nice when you travel. You can hit stuff. So, with any further ado, we're going to go ahead and see if we make a Wires X connection. All right? This is a Wires X connection. That here so you can hear me. All right, so how many of y'all got this FDM 400? 400s? I happen to have the 400 here because it's kind of a bigger screen. You can it's really the same as a 300 or a 200 or a 100. Only thing is with the 300, it's not touch. The 200 is not touch, I believe. No. Okay, well, yeah. As far as Wires X, it's the same thing. I'm just talking about touch screen. Really, that's it. So anyway, long story short, we're gonna jump right into it. I can hit the 444 600 from here with no problem. This is one of my repeaters that's over in Florence. I'm sorry? Good deal. I'm glad it is. By the way, I wish we could fix that other one. It's out of my reach, out of my hand. I can't do a whole lot about it. The 380 and the 4.0, it's been down and it's been bugging me, and we just can't climb that thing. They won't let us do any of that. And they're very particular on who wants to do their stuff. So not much. It's really out of my hand. I just have to wait till somebody goes out there to look at their stuff, and maybe they can look at our stuff. Anyway, I am on 444 600, and I just saw K4UNK key up. He can't glitch no more, buddy. No more glitching. I just saw you. So he actually hit the repeater, which is in Florence, and I'm able to pick him up. So the repeater actually comes out here pretty good in this area. There you go. That's FM part of it. See how quick it changed? It just changed from, I had my radio on automatic, so it automatically changed from digital to analog, just like that. All right, to activate your Wires X, there's this little fancy button on all of these little radios called DX. You push down and you hold it. And this thing is going to go into the mode. Ta-da, that's it. I'm on Wires X. I just initiated a wires X connection to the repeater. What I just did, I let the repeater know that, hey, I'm here and I want to use the wires X part. What does that mean? I'm going to get into the gateway. That's all I'm doing. I told the repeater, okay, I'm here. This is me, W5PFR, and I want to get into the big gateway. What does that mean? I just handshake with the repeater. That's all I did. And of course, there's a number of things you can do. If you look at your sheet, there are numbers on there. There's 5-digit numbers. I usually like to just use the 5-digit number. All you do that with your microphone. You push the pound button and you hold it. All of these Yaesu radios, they're all basically work the same way. You can actually do all of this through your microphone. You just push the pound button and you hold it down. Then on your screen you'll see a little pound. Somebody just give me a number, for example. One of the room numbers.
Room number 21,000.
21,000. So all I do is I push the pound, right? And I see a pound on my screen, and I type in 21000. Pound again. And what it's gonna do, it's gonna go and find that room that I connected. So that's CQ America, and it actually shows you where I'm connected to. It's called CQ America, and it shows to be only one person in there. It's us, I guess. We're the only one in there. So I'm connected to this. Now, since I'm the only one in there, I'm not going to call anybody because I'll be calling my own self. So that'll be kind of weird. But anyway, what I do, I want to go ahead and disconnect. You push pound again. You push 999. I think another 9. And you push pound again. That means disconnect. Yeah, there you go. Disconnected.
5 9.
Yeah. You pound. The rest of it 9. Pound again. It disconnects. That's it. Let me tell you one thing. Neat thing about this. If somebody's talking on that room, you want to disconnect. Get your radio. Do what we just did. What this thing does, it will wait till those people stop talking. It sends the command in and it'll disconnect. So you don't have to worry about it. It just does it for you. That's one good feature that's being done with the way that the gateway. Now, let me give you this one. If your internet is connected to the repeater at the repeater site, if somebody's talking through the wires that you're connected to this room, for example, if somebody's talking, you get tired of them talking because they just keep on talking. Get your microphone. Do the same thing. You don't even have to wait no more. It'll disconnect them. Because what it does, this is one of the advantages of having the internet at the radio, at the repeater side. The receive is open. It's listening to the local people. It's open. It's picking up the internet, and it's just going through the transmit side of this thing. So again, the repeater is still listening to the local people here. So if I get tired of these people talking and they just keep talking about, I don't know, whatever, I get tired of it. I just do the pound, 999, pound again. The receive hears me, drops them out. Just like that. Again, that's a pretty good feature they put on as repeaters. D-Star won't do that. They won't do that. You got to wait till the people get finished talking to disconnect. That's one of the things they put in there. All right, let's find another place here. 21,001. All right. Copy. If y'all got extra ones, pass it on down. I don't know how many copies I have. That's just a copy of the software. This is what you actually see. Again, that's just a little snapshot. You can go on their, let me give you this website. If you got your pencil handy, it's called C4FM.xyz. Very simple. C4FM.xyz. If you got your smartphone, you can pull that up. XYZ. That's all you got to do. C4FM.xyz. When you look in that, you see a lot of little menus. What you want to look for is the big map of the nodes. And you can see the whole world of how much nodes there are out there. And you can, of course, zoom in and, look in there and, do whatever. There's numbers on there. It gives you the addresses of where this place is, call sign, and all kind of stuff. So what they did, that's what, they put that in there. All right. 21,001. All right. Okay. Okay. £21,001. All right, we're connected. Yaesu test room. Again, we're the only one in there. So it shows only one. I guess it's a test. So I've never used this. That's pretty neat. I didn't know about this test room. So let's just say we're going to say something and see what happens. W5 PFR testing. 1, 2, 3. I guess. I'm not sure what that does. Yeah. Well, I was hoping it would repeat me. I guess it won't. W5 PFR test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It won't. It's not a parrot apparently. No, I don't know what. Yeah, that's just local. So what you're hearing, you're just hearing a local repeater. All right. Let me try another thing here. Huh? Yeah, I don't have it. I don't know if WiresX actually has one of those. All right, so what I want to do here, I'm going to connect to America, Kansas City, which is, it shows me to have 136 nodes, people, repeaters, whatever in there. So you might hear people right now. Okay. Oh.
I did get your card. I was thinking about that. Thank you so much. I love USL cards. I love mail. I don't know why. Maybe you don't open me, but I do love getting mail, and I love getting it from across the world. So, Canary Islands, my goodness, that's a long flight. What are you doing in Canary Islands, guys?
I don't know who that is, but that's somebody talking.
She's right up in that line.
Yeah, she's right up into it. You're right.
Hey, I'm glad you got the.
Okay, so as they're talking, I'm looking at their call sign. This guy's call sign is Tango Foxtrot 8 Yankee Yankee. TF8YY. His name is Guy. GUY. So all that stuff shows up on your screen. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know what TF is.
We have a little business to conduct the
Where?
and then after that,
Tango Fox 8 Yankee Yankee. Iceland. Okay. Well, so the guy in Iceland connected to this room that we're in. See, they're picking it up over there. Exactly. Everybody can hear. If you key up, they're going to talk to you. That's all. Again, we're in a room now. Somebody put one of these somewhere, made a Kansas City-wide room out of it. That's what they did. You got to have this little box. So that's it.
And I understand you're probably for that than I am.
Again, this is what the fusion signal sounds like.
It is clear that these are.
Yeah. Now, this particular room, you can come in different ways. What they've done, turn it down a little bit. What they've done they created some hotspots. So ham shack hotlines, DMR, D-Star, analog, even I've heard Echolink are able to come into these rooms. That's what they did. There are rooms that only accepts wires X connection, the true actual wires X. And there are rooms that are like this guy's, you know, that everybody can come in. It's internet. So yeah, you know, it depends on the internet. So, and right now I'm not picking up a GPS because of this building for some reason. So I'm not able to see how many miles this guy is from us. And another thing is, you can actually go in here, and if I had my GPS, you know, this building obviously is blocking it. You can actually see how many miles and which direction this guy is coming. That's the neatest thing. Like I can talk to you guys, like, you know, like Luke is going to work and I'm going this way. All of a sudden I can see Luke when he's on digital. Oh, Luke is 12.8 miles that away. You know, it actually gives you an arrow that he's that away from me. Again, this thing looks at you as a bird's fly. It doesn't look at highways as a bird's fly. Yes, sir.
He is 3,577.9 miles.
There you go. Okay. So, you know, as you can see, yeah, it's picking it up pretty good. Okay, see, I just initiated the disconnect. See how my radio is blinking? The lady is talking. As soon as she stops, this thing is gonna go disconnect. It should. There you go. Ta-da, disconnect. They know nothing about it. Nobody heard us because we didn't key up. Now, again, whenever you use it, you come. when you're doing anything with this wires X stuff, nobody hears the DTMF. 5 nines, yeah. There's other ways of doing it. I just use that. I think you can just push pound and hold it. It will do the same thing. But I just rather put the nines in there so I know it actually doing it.
When you were doing the distance, he was saying the distance, is that from the guy in Iceland? Is that the distance to the room or the distance?
Distance where he is. That's where he is. Yeah. 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 That's no, to here. To here. What you're seeing on your display is from whoever to you. Live. This is all happening live. So it doesn't care. Again, like for example, we can talk digital here. Me and Luke, for example, or whoever. He's got his GPS on. I mean, I'm not going to turn it off. I mean, the GPS comes on automatically. I mean, you can actually turn it off. I don't see why, but anyway. Or you know, Scott, whoever. When they key up, I can see how many miles they are from me in which direction. That's one of the neatest things. And it shows you the altitude. It shows you the direction. Again, I can give you a nice little, you know, a circle with a north, south, east, west. So, really, that's all I have. In order to utilize some of these wires X stuff, you have to register your radio. Like I said, you got to go on their website on Yaesu. This is an example of it. It's on Yaesu.com, and it says to register your radio. It's very simple. You create an account, username and a password, and that's it. And it takes a couple of days. They'll send you a confirmation with a 5-digit number, and that 5-digit number is going to go for that radio, and that's all it is. The price wise, okay. So let's see. This is a FT1. This is one of their first generation that came out. This is a dual band. Again, it's got the APRS. It's got the GPS. That's the FT1. I've got this on sale. This is 7 years ago, I think. $200. That was about 7 years ago. Then they came out with the FT2. This came out 5 years, I guess. Of course, that's been discontinued. This is their touch screen. That was their first touch screen that came out. It's black and white. It's really kind of hard to see it during the daytime or whatever. Again, it's touch screen. You can do a lot with the touch. I don't remember what I paid for this. Again, this is analog and fusion. Every one of their radios are analog and fusion. So it's not completely fusion radio. Then they came out with the FT3. What this one did was color display. Again, this has the touch tone. A little bit fancier. Basically does the same thing as the FT2 and the FT1. It's just a little bit smaller, a little bit fancier. They have a FT5 now, I believe. When you look at it, it's kind of look like the 3. It's a little bit beefier, I think. Touch screen again. They discontinued the 400. This is a 400 that got discontinued. They came out with a 500. Touch screen, a little bigger. I don't know. I haven't played with one yet. So
I'm looking at an FT4XR gigahertz.
that's not fusion.
That's not it?
That's not fusion.
analog.
That's analog.
What was the FT4?
FT. What'd you say?
FT400, what was there?
400. Now it's a 500. Yeah. FTM 400. Now it's FTM 500. Yes, sir.
The 500 will also do dual fusion.
Yes, just like the 300. Whoever's got 300, it will do dual fusion. Smaller screen.
We've got a tornado warning for our area.
Uh-oh. Okay. You can call it quits.
Tornado warning for this area.
Wow. Did not know that.
Warning, not a watch.
Okay. So I think we need to shut her down now. You want to shut her down? Be a good idea. I'm really done. I don't have anything else. Anybody has any more questions? I was going to do one more quick. FT70 does not have a GPS, so it will not do APRS, and you won't know when you're talking to the people. You don't know where they are because it's not putting out a GPS. Yes, sir. I just heard. So let's call it quits then.